Quiet on set. Cameras rolling. Action. Cut.
Sorry, guys. Look, I think I need to change it up. It's not me. Maybe try something more casual. Yeah, this works. Yeah, much better. I like it. All right, let's go for take 2.
Quiet on set. Cameras rolling. Action.
Hold on.
Cut.
You know what? We don't need this. Alright guys, welcome to the show on the go with me, Vinn Sander. Welcome guys to today's episode of the show on the go with me, Vinn Sander. Today's guest is someone you guys have all seen. Most of you have definitely seen him. He's been in a lot of Dhar Mann videos. He usually plays like the dad role or the teacher role. He is, he's a great actor. He and I have worked on a few videos, I think, but not as much as I'd like to. Hopefully we get to work more in the future. And yeah, without further ado, come on in, Colin.
Coming out like the water from the spout.
What's
I'm
up,
going
man?
in, throw me in and put me
How you doing?
down.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, thanks for coming, Colin. I feel like we haven't, just as I was saying, we haven't worked together much in Dhar Mann videos. Do you remember the last time we worked together?
I think the only one that we've actually done together is the homeless artist.
Yes, the most recent one, the homeless artist one, was the only time we were actually in a scene together.
Yeah.
I think if we had worked previously, it was either we were in different scenes or never actually together. So
No.
I'm super surprised because
No.
you've worked a bunch, I've been in a bunch, we just never crossed paths, which is weird.
There's something about our stock characters. too.
Hopefully we get to work on more together. That'd be
Yeah.
awesome, man. So tell the audience a little bit about how you started with Dhar Mann. How was your experience? How was your first audition? Did you audition?
I auditioned, yeah. And I just learned actually, Carlos and I auditioned for the same part.
Really?
And I got it.
Carlos was just on. If you guys watched the first episode, Carlos was on there. That's amazing.
Yeah, we, back in the old days, it was, I think, a much simpler operation.
Yeah.
And so the producer then, John Reyes, reached out to me on Backstage.com. If you're an actor, get on Backstage.com. And asked if I would audition. I said absolutely. I thought it was just a short film.
Yeah.
So I guess I booked it, but then I couldn't do that episode. So I said, sorry, I've got another job. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And he said, absolutely. And then a couple of days later, he wrote back to me and said, hey, we're doing another one. Are you available for this one? And I said, oh, yeah, great, awesome, that's cool.
That's cool.
And it was with Aiden, Sophia, and Catherine. And they kind of let me know that this was like a slightly bigger thing.
Yeah.
And that this was, Catherine had just done 10, I believe.
Okay.
This was her 10th Dhar that we were doing. So when I realized it was more of a series, I was like, oh, I should be really nice to these people.
It's all about the connections.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was it. And then they just kind of continued to call me, which is exciting.
That's super exciting. Do you remember which episode that was? What the story was?
The father spends more time with his son than with his daughter.
Oh, okay. Well, check it out, guys. That was Colin's first video. Cool. Wow. How was your experience first? So you worked with them when John was a producer.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a bit ago, I remember, because I started with him too.
About 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm coming up on my 3-year anniversary.
Do you remember the loft that we worked at?
Yeah.
The same loft. If you guys check out most of the previous videos before there was Dhar Mann Studios, a lot of the videos were shot in the same loft, just different angles in the same room.
Yeah, they were hospital rooms,
Right.
homes, hovels,
It was
offices.
super creative how they converted that one loft into so many different sets.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And now they have a huge studio, so there's no need
Yeah,
for
they
that. So how was your experience so far working with Dhar Mann? And
Oh, I mean, it's unbelievable. Ruben, who is sort of he used to be the director, editor, and now he is just sort of a supervising producer. I think
Right.
he directs every now and then still. But he, long ago, instituted a rule, no jerks.
right.
And they've made an amazing company of actors and crew. And every time I go, it's like going back to camp, you know?
Exactly.
We maybe we'll be shooting a movie with Mario, one of the directors, and we're over here on this set, and then you catch wind that Rushi is shooting on this set. You gotta go say hi.
Exactly.
You know? I pop in and I look at like the other actors, what they're working on, and I'll just go and like I'll just watch them. And it's just fun to be there on the day. You know?
It's just a huge family. I feel like everyone, like you were saying, everyone's just good people. Like no one's like one over the other or anything like that. Everyone's really loving the craft, enjoying the time there, and people on set, the crew are amazing. They make us who we are. They make us look good. Like without them, I feel like we would be nothing.
Yeah, everybody's just super friendly, and there's not one ego.
No, exactly. Yeah, and it's like it's just fun being on set. It doesn't feel like you're working ever, which I think is the best part. Like
which might be bad.
Which might be bad. You guys tell us our performances. I mean, hopefully our performances are good. Because I'm sure based on your experience, have you been on sets where it's the complete opposite?
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, I don't think I've ever been with any incredible egos, but yeah, absolutely. There's certain times where it's the experience could be enjoyable, but everybody's being a little bit too precious, a little bit too serious, a little bit too self-important. You know, various scales of that. And when if you just realize that acting, you know, is fun. And you're putting on a play, you're playing a character, playing a part. And yeah, there's never enough time, there's never enough money. But if you work together and the atmosphere on set is one of open collaboration and one of joy, even if you're doing like a big depressing, you know, somebody's died, and everybody's weeping, they call cut. Hey, so what were you telling me about the baseball game?
Right, exactly.
You know,
it's just back to being like
it's so enjoyable, and you can just feel so much more comfortable to be vulnerable and open up when that camera is rolling.
Totally, completely agree with that. I think that helps a lot as an actor. We want sets where we're comfortable enough to, you know, emote the way we need to emote in order to get the response that we need on camera.
And I mean, you know, as much as that atmosphere is there, everybody shows up, lines memorized.
Yep. Prepared.
Yeah, Mario Rushi says like, we're chatting. Mario Rushi goes like, okay guys, let's shoot. Everybody.
Right.
And that's ideal too. I mean, that's
exactly.
Because it can certainly go the other way.
Right. So everyone knows when to do the work, when it's time to do work, at the same time have fun at the same time. So it's a great environment. Like I feel super fortunate to be a part of it.
Oh yeah.
Right, and it's crazy how big they've expanded. So it's amazing.
Yeah, every time I'm there, they just have like one more thing that shocks me. Like, now they have microphones. And now they have a dolly, and we were shooting on a bus the other day. Yeah, every day. It's just like, well, we couldn't have done this one in the penthouse.
Right, exactly. Like even I was there the other day, and I got to see the new warehouse, the new second studio.
Oh, you did?
It was cool. I mean, it was just like seeing the first one when it was fully empty. Huge warehouse. I'm like, wow, what are they gonna build here?
Yeah.
I'm super excited for the growth of the company. It's gonna be cool. So where are you originally from? Where was your
I grew up in a town outside of Philadelphia called Springfield.
Cool.
But I just say I'm from Philadelphia because I went to high school in Philadelphia proper, and that's where it's like, oh, here I am. That's what makes sense to me. Yeah. That I kind of became more of a human being. And then I moved out to Santa Fe, New Mexico to go to college. I went to film school and met my wife there, and we kind of more or less together moved out here to LA. So I've been here 14 years.
14 years. Wow, that's amazing. So what was your reason to move to LA? Acting, or was it something else?
Directing. Or I think maybe even initially was the thought of being an assistant director, but it kind of quickly developed into directing.
Gotcha.
And that is more of a side hustle now. Yeah. But it's, you know, it goes well. I realized kind of later into the game that at the level that I kind of operate, everybody who wants to make a movie is going to make their movie. They're not going to hire a director.
True.
So they're just going to raise the money to make it themselves. So I was making my own movies, and every now and then picking up a directing gig. But the other thing I realized is generally on a set there's only one director, but there's at least 2 actors. So you can go that track, and your odds suddenly become a little bit better to get a job.
That's so crazy. So did you ever have the opportunity to direct?
Mm-hmm.
You did? Okay.
Yeah. I've gotten paid to direct, never like a feature film or anything like that, but short films and web series.
Yeah. Which one do you prefer, directing or acting?
The kind of hokey but honest thing that I say is that acting fulfills my heart and directing fulfills my soul. So like they're both bring me infinite amounts of joy, and they are just kind of 2 sides of the same coin. But there's maybe something a little bit more special to me about directing.
Yeah.
But also, I can go and act on 15 things in a month. True. And I can direct one thing for 7 months. So that's the other thing.
Yeah. Have you been able to act? Like when you first started acting, did you drive straight into Dhar Mann, or was it something else that got you into acting? What was the transition? How did you get into acting?
Well, I've been acting since 3rd grade, doing community theater, the occasional commercial, and kind of like 1 or 2 professional plays.
In Philly?
In Philly.
Okay.
And then the high school that I went to had a TV film program. I went for acting. It was like a fame style high school, the High School for Creative and Performing Arts in Philadelphia, where Questlove went to, and Black Thought, and Leslie Odom Jr.
Oh wow, no way.
And they had a TV film program there, and I had already been kind of making short films with my friends, on the weekends and stuff like that. And I was like, oh man, this is fun. So that's where I kind of made the transition into making movies.
Yeah.
And I went to film school for college, and was pursuing that for a long time. My wife, likewise, has been pursuing it. She's much more intelligent, much more successful than I am, and very quickly became a legitimate professional in the field. And she was on a show in Albuquerque, New Mexico, working as an assistant director, and I came out there with her because she was making a lot more money just like going to the bathroom than I was on my whole, day of being an office production assistant. So I was like, well, why split up? Let's just be together, because we've done distance for a long time. So I went out, and as lovely as it was, I just started kind of going stir crazy. Without much of anything to do, no real friends. She was working like 16-hour days. So I'm just kind of spending all this time in a small apartment by myself. And she said, okay, look, why don't you just go out for a play? I used to do that, it brought you joy. And I thought, well, okay, I'll try it. I would go to the audition, and I said, if I can at least get a call back, I will feel pretty good about myself. And then I got a part, and it just so happened to be a play that I had been wanting to do, for a while. And I, the first night with an audience, especially, was just like, okay, this is right. Here I am. I'm back. This is what I want to be doing. So just sort of doing theater in Albuquerque for a little while. While we were on that show, we moved to Boston for a while. Did a play out there, and then that just, I think, logically transitioned into doing movie acting, especially since we were in LA. And I just started self-submitting to short films and student films, and then the Dhar thing popped up, which I just assumed was another low-budget short film, which it was.
right at the time,
And then just it's continued to kind of become.
That's cool. It's so interesting to hear people's stories, how they get to LA, because I'm very curious to hear how other people come out here and try to make it happen here, because it's always a struggle. I mean, I feel like there's always different paths. There's no one path.
We say all the time, if there was one way to do it, everybody would be doing it.
Exactly, and it's that's why it's hard when sometimes people ask you for advice, like, how do I get into acting? How do I become an actor? Well, you kind of have to put yourself out there, and there's no real guidebook to follow. You just have to kind of put yourself out there and see what catches. Sometimes it could be a short film, sometimes it could be something that goes viral, you know, you never know. So the more you put yourself out there, I feel like the better your odds are in your favor.
And the most important thing, you know, as you're developing your craft, is developing your professional attitude. Like, again, the reason why we have continued to be invited back to Dhar Mann is because, you know, we compose ourselves like professionals.
Exactly.
Show up on time, have the lines memorized, be a kind person,
Yep.
do the work.
Definitely, and I feel like that goes for anything you do. Always be prepared, be professional, and you'll make a good impression no matter what the job you're going out for. Because that's at the end of the day. No matter how big or small the project is, be professional.
Yeah.
I feel like, because you never know, the person who's working on this small project may be the next director for something big, and he might remember you because you were professional on set and easy to work with, and you know, just had a positive attitude no matter how crazy the situation could be.
Yeah, and every audition, you are auditioning beyond that role, you know?
Yes,
like you might, you show up in the room, you do your best work in the room, but it turns out you're not blonde, so they're not gonna hire you for that, but they think like, oh gosh, that guy was nice, he showed up on time, he was prepared, his work, let's think about him for this part.
Right, it's very true, that's very good advice. So you said you did plays for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So now tell the audience a little bit about the difference between like acting in plays versus on television. So what do you prefer? Do you have a preference, or I guess the pros and cons just for those who are curious about plays and film and television, because they are different forms of acting.
Yeah, I don't know, I would say that, I mean, the main difference between a stage actor and a film actor is that the camera is right here versus the audience being way out there.
Right.
The mechanics, intention, you know, developing your motivation, developing your character, all that work is exactly the same. But on a film, you can do so much more with just like
The subtle expression.
little looks.
Yeah.
As opposed to on a stage, you might want to put a little bit more body into it. You know, oh, look at him, he's sad. Look at the way he's kind of doing that.
Right.
But you know, ultimately, it's just ideally looking another human being in the eye and dealing with the problem together, which is we don't get to do that so much in our daily life. And on stage, on camera, that's all you're ultimately doing.
Exactly.
And God, it feels good. It's like really clicking.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
really working.
The chemistry's right there. You're really vibing off each other. It's magic.
Yeah. So it's, I mean, you know, there's something to be said about on stage, you're getting immediate reactions, whether it is a comedy or a drama. You know, when I'm doing a play right now, it's a big raucous comedy, but it has a very intentionalized moment of quiet drama, and it's so fun to feel you shift the audience. You know, you just like pick them up and you put them in another box. You can feel the room shift, and then they go right back in the other box, and you feel that shift again.
Yeah.
And like manipulating them like that, manipulating is maybe a hard word, but you know.
Right.
Playing it, all of that is a fantastic feeling. And you don't really necessarily get that when you're playing on camera. There are people around, but even like the director is watching your performance and the camera and the background and like what your shirt did in that one take, and like, you know, you're not really playing the audience, you're playing to the camera, to the audience at home, and it's a very kind of different energy.
Totally. And I mean, the main difference is you get one take in theater versus
exactly.
You can do as many takes as as many, but like you can take multiple takes and get your expression right for, you know, the right moment, the right scene, versus in theater, you got one go. And
the train leaves the station.
And you get immediate reactions too, which is kind of the cool part, because you get that one go and you get the immediate feedback. Versus in movie, you could maybe wait like a year sometimes until it's released, and then you're like, oh, okay, well, I wish I'd known that a little bit earlier. I could have changed my performance a little bit.
Or like, oh, they took that take? I know that the third one was the best.
I know,
they
right?
took that.
Yeah, that happens a lot, and that's very interesting to hear. So you would prefer? Do you have a preference, or?
I would like to be able to continue to do both. There is no money in theater, and there's the potential for money in movies. So yeah, I would like to do enough movies to support my theater habit. You know, would
That
be
makes
the
sense. So
ultimate,
theater's
like-
more your passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To go back to that, there's probably more soul in theater and heart in movies.
Why do you think theater is like? I feel like theater is always like the origin of acting, or you know, like that's where a lot of. Because I did theater in high school too, in high school and a little bit of college. But theater was, I thought, the way to get into acting.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, it's transitioned so much that you don't necessarily have to ever have theater experience to do acting. Do you know, based on your experience, like?
Well, it's probably has a lot to do with the fact that you only get one crack at it in the training
Yeah.
station, and you have to be on your game to do it.
Right.
So the training that it takes to do a 2-hour play is much more intense than it takes to do. Yeah, you know, if you're on a movie set, you're doing it for 12 hours. You have to have a certain amount of stamina, but you can also do your 2 pages of dialogue, you know, much quicker, and you can
Yeah.
like kind of put it into your brain.
There's
right there on the
ways to
day.
cheat it for sure.
Yeah, you know, there's. But if you're a stage actor, there are no crutches. You got to
Yeah.
go out there and do it. You know, and I think there's probably also there's an element on a movie sometimes. You know, depending you're not performing to a human being with
That's
eyeballs.
a good point.
You're
You're
performing
not.
to a piece of tape.
Yeah.
And on stage, you're much more likely performing to a human with eyeballs, and you learn there what other people do, especially in the moment. You know, on a movie, I did a movie recently, and I'm very curious. It's one of those ones that's not going to come out for a year.
Oh yeah.
I'm very curious how they're going to cut the scene together, because they shot my side of the scene, and I acted in one way,
Uh-huh.
and then they turned the camera around, and they were like, "Oh, do you know what? Actually, this scene is different." And they shot her different, which changed my performance on the other side of the camera, but they never turned around and shot my side of the
Oh
scene.
really?
And that's one of the magic of movies, you know, is that it is created in the edit.
It is.
And I don't know where I was going with that point, but you
No,
know,
I get what you mean. Yeah, it's super.
you have to kind of you learn how it's better to play off of another human being in
Yeah.
theater than you do on movies. I think is where I was going with that, because sometimes you'll just show up, it's your very first day, and you're just performing to a tape,
Yeah.
a piece of tape, and if you're not a trained, ready actor, it's going to be really hard.
Because yeah, I mean, I've had to do that. Have you had to do that where you're
Yeah.
talking to a tape or like just a mark on the wall because the eye line has to be perfect? Even recently, I think there was one where I had to look above someone's head, so like not even the eye line, looking at their hair and trying to have a conversation with that and make it look believable.
Someone off camera reading the script,
Right.
with flat emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And there is a lot more leeway in film, television acting because, you know, it's recorded, so there's always, like, what I've been told is when you make a film, there's 3 different versions of it, right? One when you're acting, one when you're, I think actually like editing, and one is the final product, which will be completely different than how you imagined it being, because like the final product is made in the editing. Editing is the creative process almost.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just cobbling all these pieces
Right.
together. You're like, oh yeah, let's yeah, sure, that looks like a good location. That looks like a good area.
Yeah.
Put it all together. Oh no, we were wrong.
Right.
Oh, what if we move this over here? Then it suddenly starts to make sense. Now we have a movie,
Exactly.
and you show up as the actor, and you're like, oh, when did that happen?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to see, especially if you're involved from like the script process, like starting from the script, and that's the 3rd version. Yeah, script when you're acting, and then the editing. Those are the 3 different versions. But if you ever have the chance to see a film from start to end, it could be so different from what you imagined it being from the script to when you're finally done editing, because you might have a whole different version of the film.
Yeah.
Because there's so many moving parts in film and television versus theater. One stage, one location, you might move some sets around. Boom.
That's why you can't be too precious or self-important, I don't think. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's so fluid, and all you're doing is giving the best version of what they ask of you in the moment.
Right.
Because who knows? Yeah, who knows what it'll look like at the end of the day?
Right.
If it'll be in there, if it'll
Yeah.
be. So, you know, if you're like, well, my character wouldn't do that.
Right.
Maybe we don't entirely know.
Right. True.
And maybe you can say thank you to whoever's giving you the note, and then put it through your lens. But attempt to honor the note and move on. There's no real need for huge blow-ups.
For sure, I agree with that 100%.
I just get nervous every time. I think actors are like, I have to be weird. I have to be.
That's the thing. Like
I have to be a human being.
you can't even when you're rehearsing at home for your script, going over your script, you have to be very conscious of how you memorize things, because sometimes if you memorize a certain way and then you go on set and the person who's talking to you is not talking to you the way you thought they would respond, you have to change your performance right there and then.
Do you memorize just the words?
I try my best to memorize just the words as it is. I have a version usually in my head of how I want to play it, but then I see ideally you get time beforehand to rehearse some lines with the actor or actress you're trying to do the scene with. So depending on that, I try to adjust it, because otherwise it wouldn't really work out. The chemistry wouldn't be there if you don't know how the other person's going to act. Because you could be like super happy, and the other person's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" Okay, that's not going to work out.
Yeah.
Let's adjust this. But yeah, you do have to be super flexible with that, and just be aware of how the scene is, how the actor is responding, and the whole emotion to make it believable. So that's very key. I do have a question for you that I ask every guest that's on here, and I have to. It's just like a basic question that I have to do every time. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, Colin. What is your favorite color?
Blue.
Blue.
Unfortunately,
oh, look at that! You're
blue.
pretty much in blue. Huh? Did you know when you discovered blue was your favorite color?
I used to love green.
Really?
I don't know when it shifted, but now
wow, that's
blue.
very interesting. I've never heard someone shift. So green was till how long?
I don't know. The majority of my childhood was all about green.
Interesting.
And then I don't know, probably early adulthood started shifting over to blue.
Wow. Do you tend to wear blue a lot, or is it like?
I do. I have a lot of blue.
A lot of blue. So, that's super interesting. Well, there you have it, guys. Colin's favorite color is blue. Do you have a preference when you look over scripts? Or I know in Dhar Mann you usually play a lot of dramatic roles.
Mm-hmm.
So, but in theater sounds like comedy is more your thing. Do you kind of or do both?
It's a little bit of everything. And I played a lot of bad guys in theater.
Really?
Which I'm not allowed to do in Dhar.
Oh wow! I've not seen you in a bad role in Dhar Mann.
No, not really. There's a couple floating around out there, but I actually there's one episode where I play Catherine's wife. She has cancer. I don't like that she has cancer. I'm sick of it, so I leave her for Giovanna, and then I get cancer, and then Giovanna leaves me. Spoiler alert.
Whoa!
And I was playing a bad guy in that, and we were shooting. It was maybe the first episode back from the pandemic.
Okay.
Early. It was pandemic, early pandemic. But so they had already hired another actor to play that part, but he had to drop out, and then found out about it while we were shooting the episode where Catherine and I are playing Mare's parents. Mare, who is my age.
Is she really? I didn't know that.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to feel too much about Mare. So we're playing her parents, and Mare was like, well, Colin can play that part. And they were like, oh, no, that's not Colin's brand. He's too nice of a guy. So they had me audition.
Really?
They had me improvise a little scene with Catherine where I told her off essentially. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, Colin, you can do it.
See, that's how you never know. Even when you're on set, you might be auditioning for something else. It's crazy. It's cool. If they like your personality and you're a cool, easygoing guy, it's always it can work, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's amazing. So that's how you got that part. And so going back to comedy versus drama, comedy, do you have a preference usually?
Probably I would like. The ideal part is something that encapsulated all of it. You know what I mean?
Cool.
A good play, a good movie is writing both levels. It's getting everybody, the audience is crying, laughing, falling in love, being afraid. So anytime that I can play a part that's got a little bit of everything in it, that's the sweet spot. But yeah, give me a big broad comedy. Anything.
Yeah. Do you have like an ideal role from either film or shows that you've seen already that you say, all right, this is my ideal role. I'd love to play something like this.
Oh, that's a big question. I don't know. I think in terms of theater, Harvey is still on my bucket list. One Man, Two Governors is still on my bucket list.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, well, hopefully you get to play all those roles.
Yeah.
That'd be dope, man. That's amazing. Well, thanks for coming, Colin.
Thank you
Really
for having me.
appreciate you coming. I know it was a little bit of a drive because we're in a different location now, guys. If you can't tell, we're in a different location, but
Is that part of the on the go?
it is. It's part of the on the go. Thanks for coming. Really appreciate you being here and being a part of this show.
It's lovely meeting you all.
Yeah, and I hope the audience learned a lot from you guys, or from you. And any final words you want to say to the audience?
If you have a dream, turn it into a goal and go for it.
Go for it, guys. That's amazing. All right, thanks, Colin, for coming.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching today's episode with Colin. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope you guys learned a lot more about Colin. I sure did. And thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments who else you guys would like to see in future episodes. Like always, make sure to like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next one.